All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, MrTMoney1993, aka Straight Facts in the building, because that's all I speak on YouTube. And here today, I got my boy Tony from Cat Chronicles.
What's up, my man? I'm glad to be here. Good week. Panther win, so we're excited.
Yeah, and as if anybody who doesn't know yet, we're about to be in the NFC South Championship game. That's what I'm calling it. Big game coming up against the Atlanta Falcons. We played them again this year, last game of the season, and it's definitely shaping up to be an exciting week this week. It's for all the marbles. Tony, I know.
For all the marbles.
How you feel about that Cleveland win and us making a fool out of Johnny Manziel?
I think that it should have been, there's some things that I should be very excited. We saw some good things at the defense. I thought Cam looked very sharp. I think that's one thing is, and this goes out to Monty, is that all his trash talking with Andrew Luck and all of that jazz that he's been going on and doing today. I feel like Cam Newton looked like a good quarterback in that game. Even with supposedly these injuries and these hesitancies that the national media likes to hit upon, like, oh, he's going to be worried about running with his back and all of that. I was really impressed with him. I was impressed with Philly Brown. I was also impressed most importantly with our defense. Now, with all of that good that comes out of it, there are some things that I am critical about. Number one is our play calling in the red zone is still leaves something to be desired. And second, we just don't really put up a lot of points, man. And we should. I feel like we play better. We play between the 20s pretty well, and then it just kind of slows down. So I think there was also some weak, loosey-goosey mess with the turnovers. Cam Newton made the dumb throw. I think his hand got hit. I think that's why that ball didn't go as far as it was supposed to. But then he's got to fumble. We got to clean that stuff up. You clean that stuff up, and that team right there is going to win next week.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's no way we should have over 400 yards as an offense and go 9 of 16 on third down and not have more than what we have, 17 points?
Yeah.
That makes 17,
was it 17-14? What was this?
17-13.
17-13.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's unacceptable. We should be able to punch the ball in the red zone. And I do agree with some of the play calling. We actually ran 2 quarterback bootlegs, which is the first time I've seen that in a long time in the red zone, which I've definitely been wondering why we don't do.
Yeah, but you know what? It took a long time for them to do that too, Money, is that we had this going on early where we were moving the ball, we were there, and then you run some really dumb plays. We're running the ball up the middle easily throughout the whole game, and then all of a sudden what you get is that like a toss, it was like a sweep, and then there was a pass to Tolbert, and just like routes that don't complement our players.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about that drive where we had the 3 plays where the first play was a toss-up to Kelvin, which I'm not mad about that. Kelvin, I think he dropped it, and then they came back with the little pass to Tolbert, which Tolbert can't catch anyway. And second of all, Carlos Dansby was right there. And then they ran the toss sweep to Jonathan Stewart, which didn't get in, which I definitely don't understand. I feel like the plays, we've always been good on those bootleg plays where you give Cam an option to run or pass because he's that good as a decision maker most of the time.
And what it does, I feel, is stretches the defense out a little bit, so so they don't just have to bear down on the receivers. They got to kind of play a mid-range game, and you see that. Here's another thing too: is again, Greg Olsen very quiet in this game. Greg Olsen was not part of the game plan early on, and that's the go-to play in the end zone. Look, I know You know I love my boys, the ECU Pirates. And
Yeah.
and one thing they do with this one receiver they have is they run every time they get in the red zone, they run the same damn play. It's on film, it's everywhere. And until you can stop it, they're going to keep running it. And I just feel like that's what we need to do a little bit more, especially you get down there. You're on the 7-yard line. That's like perfect for the bootleg to Olsen. Bootleg to Olsen. I would do it every time until somebody stops it, and I haven't seen anybody stop it yet.
Only time I can ever remember it being stopped is I think it was last year's game where we played Seattle, and we needed that play to win the game. I think Cam threw it in the dirt. I think that was last year. When we played Seattle. That's the only time I can remember it not working. I remember it working. It worked last game. It worked when we played Tampa. When was that? Last year when we had Cam. And he did the back pedaling, throwing fadeaway pass to Greg on the other side. I just feel like it usually does, yes, work. And that,
I mean, I think it worked against Detroit. It is. I've seen it so many times where you think, man, how these guys even fall for it anymore?
because you usually end up putting that linebacker or that safety on an island where he has to choose, do I come up to tackle Cam or do I stay back to guard Greg? And by the time you make your decision, Greg is such a good blocker where if Cam runs, you're not going to get past him.
Yeah. So I think that when coming back to what you're saying about the game, what do I feel about the Cleveland win? I feel good because, hey, we won. Was this team, were they a bad team? No. Were they a good team? No. Their defense is pretty good. But other than that, other than Josh Gordon, they really don't have a lot. So, I would have liked for it to be a little bit more decisive in some ways. But I think we saw what we needed to see. I think we saw an offensive line that's doing, if we could have just played like this throughout the season, we would be 11-5 when it's all said and done. But we just have had breakdowns in so many spots. For instance, here, Roman Harper, again, just beat like a drum on that deep ball.
Which, I don't know if you know now. Now they're saying that Luke taking responsibility on it.
Oh, really? I just feel like the safety's always supposed to make sure nobody gets behind you.
Luke was saying that he was supposed to be faking the blitz and dropping back, and he got caught up in the box and didn't drop back. Which is, so he should have been underneath that pass. Meaning Roman, I guess, was supposed to have a better angle to make the tackle, even if it was completed. But
and then Roman Harper, to give him a little credit, he has played much better over the last couple of weeks. Like he was saving it, like he knew, like he was almost like a horse in a horse race, and he was saving it for that last round around the track to get that last little oomph, because he had some great coverage on a play in that game where he was on that dude like white on rice.
Even though he maybe should have got pass interference on both of them.
I don't know. That's what I thought at the first look, but I think it was just such good coverage on the first one that, to me, it wasn't pass interference. Now in this league today, maybe you call it on everything. You called the Norman hit, the defenseless receiver. So I guess the defenseless receiver is any receiver that is catching the ball.
Yeah, if you don't give him a chance to come all the way down and make a move, pretty much.
So I think we see a lot of good things. Another good thing I liked in this game too, Money, was Jonathan Stewart. Jonathan Stewart does not get, I don't know what Ron Rivera thinks about this guy or why he doesn't really give him much credit. But it's not like the offensive line is just opening up gaping assholes for this dude. He puts in second, third efforts.
His vision clinched that game. On that 30-yard run, when he first gets the ball, you're saying, oh, Lord, this is a typical Shula play. We are not getting it. We're about to have to putt it, and we're going to give the Browns a chance to go down the field and win it. But he was.
Let me ask you about that. Let me ask you, what did you think about that play call at the end? What did it feel like? Exactly.
It felt like a typical Shula, we're playing to lose the game, and now we're
It
playing
felt
to
like Atlanta.
yeah, exactly. We're playing to keep the lead. We're not playing to win the game. I feel like you should have put the ball in Cam's hands. I don't know if you didn't trust him because he threw a pick on the last drive or what, but I feel like the ball should have been in Cam's hand as our franchise quarterback, as our leader of the team, and let him decide what he needs to do. Even if Cam pulls the pass down and scrambles, he can probably get that first down. It was what, 3rd and 3?
Yeah.
Instead, you run a sweep where if Jonathan Stewart is D'Angelo, we're putting that ball. But Jonathan Stewart waits, lets his blockers do what they're supposed to do. He cuts back the other way and breaks it 30 yards down the field.
Listen to his stats: 24 carries, 122 yards. He had a 30-yard long. That was the end. That was the last. So that helped his yards per carry tremendously. 2 catches for 7 yards and a touchdown. I don't feel like we use him in the passing game very well. I feel like he could do a little bit more on the outside. Not as on the outside. That's not the right terminology, but in a screen game where it's not. I don't like the screens where we run them, where they make me so nervous. Where like you fake the throw, then Cam does a twirly twirl, and then he throws it into a crowd of people. I feel like, why can't we just throw it to Jonathan Stewart over to the left or over to the right and see what happens?
And we usually do it in predictable situations anyway. Like 3rd down, everybody knows if it's 3rd and long and you're a conservative team, you're either going to run a draw or you're going to run a screen. Or you're going to decide to protectors and run a fake screen, reverse back the other way to Philly Brown and let him fumble.
What do you think? How did you feel about Cam's performance?
Definitely after having those 2 fractures in his back, or whatever you want to say it is in his back, I felt like his performance was pretty good. I mean, he hurt his the way he looked with that decision to try to pass it to Kelvin. I think that was just a throw it away situation because we were still in the lead at that time, I think. But I think that was just like I told Monty that I feel like sometimes Cam tries to do too much because of his will to win, I think. Sometimes leads him to make bad decisions. He wants to win so bad. He wants to make that play so bad that he forces it sometimes when he doesn't have to. Because any other quarterback, they scramble like that, they're just going to throw it out the pocket. They're going to throw it out of bounds, move on to the next play. I mean, it was a great catch by a defensive lineman, but
I don't even count that one as an interception because, I mean, I know it was, but if you really look, I swear his hand got hit. And, like, as he was throwing the ball, his hand gets hit, and then that slowed the motion down because it looked like if his hand didn't get hit there, like, I mean, you could have broke that for 30 yards.
Yeah, they said Dansby hit it, but I still don't know if you want your 6'5", 6'6" quarterback throwing jump passes like he's Doug Flutie.
Right. It certainly was that type of Cam play where he plays so well for so much of the game and then does some boneheaded looking silliness.
That pass made me think of the Seattle game. It was about in the same spot too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Where was that the shuttle pass, the shuffle?
Yeah, he
flip it or whatever.
He scrambles, gets out the pocket, dodges a couple people, then he tried to throw the shuffle pass and it got picked.
Yeah. I want to talk about that, though, is speaking of picks. What about that Josh Norman play?
That pick was one of the best in-game picks that I have seen in a long time. Because he was behind the guy, the ball goes in the air, he catches up, he makes a nice little diving.
And it wasn't his guy either.
Yeah, that was one of the best picks I've seen in a game, but then he messed it up by not tucking the ball. And a lot of people say,
dumbass. God, he drives me crazy.
I mean, I'm not that mad at him.
Man. It's showboating. And look, I don't got a problem with you showboating, but here's the thing. You just made a wonderful ass play and you ruined it.
I don't know if he was showboating. I think he might have just been carrying the ball like that. It wasn't like he
Charles
changed.
Woodson looking. I mean, but still, Come on, man. You ain't. We ain't good enough for that. And then here's the thing, is that Ron Rivera's got to walk on eggshells around him like, you know, I talked to him and I said, you got to probably take care of the ball. He said, yeah, I know, coach. Like, well, no, I want to wring your damn neck. That's why you got sat last year after the Buffalo game.
Because I mean, if you watch a game, I mean, if you go back and watch, you can hear Ron yelling at him.
What, protect the football?
Yeah.
Well, why didn't he?
I mean, I think Josh Norman's one of those guys you got to take the bad with the good. Because he has been playing his ass off. I mean, look at the receivers he's been guarding. He's been guarding since he became the starter, the number one corner. What? Julio, Charles Johnson, Mike Evans, and Flash Gordon.
Yeah, and he held Gordon to 45 yards.
Yeah, something like that. And I know he held Mike Evans to 2 catches, and then Julio only had like 50 yards against him, I think.
Now, maybe like 70. Yeah. Josh Gordon 4 for 45. He shut down Julio. Everybody's kind of gotten a touchdown on him, which is okay. I mean, I'll take a touchdown, 2 catches and a touchdown over.
I mean, Gordon didn't.
No, Gordon didn't, but I think Julio did. Maybe if not, maybe not. I know Mike Evans only had 2 catches for like 7 yards, and it was a touchdown.
And that Mike Evans catch, if we're being honest,
it's a good pass.
Yeah, Josh Norman was in perfect position. There's no better job you can do as a corner on that play.
I just, this is what I think with Josh Norman is that I think the only thing that
Julio didn't score on him. Roddy White scored.
I think the thing that might keep Josh Norman from becoming elite caliber shutdown is himself, and that's it.
I think he's a little bit too flamboyant for most typical Carolina Panthers conservative taste. Like as far as the tire tracks and the talking and his
I like all that until you just do dumb crap.
Which, I mean, his hit, Monty tried to say it was like, oh, he's pretty much trying to talk about his character, and I was like, that was just a good hard hit to me. And even the pick.
Yeah, that was a tackle. Oh man, that shouldn't have been a penalty. I don't even count. I count that as the no fun league.
Yeah. Also, going off of Josh Norman, how do you feel about Cam Newton saying the fan base was classless?
What fan base?
Our fan base.
Cam Newton said that?
For cheering. He felt like they were cheering Johnny Manziel getting hurt.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear this.
I think that was me. I think my thoughts on it, I think the media was kind of pumping it up like, oh, they were cheering for Johnny. But I don't think, watching the game, I don't feel like that because I feel like they were cheering more the hit because Colin Jones and Luke put a nice hit on him. And Johnny he got up for a second and then he went back down. So I think they were just excited about the hit. I don't think it was more about, watching the game, I didn't even know he was hurt at first.
Yeah, I thought he could be hurt. I thought he could have gotten his bell rung. That's what I thought. I thought he just got his bell rung. And, yeah, I cheered. Look, here's the thing, is Johnny Manziel ain't done shit. So it's not like, unless it's just some country-ass Carolina fans that really don't watch enough football to kind of know anything, that are cheering because it's Johnny. I don't really, I didn't feel like Johnny Manziel was a threat. I want him out there. I want to beat the best team out there.
I prefer to have him out there over Hoyer.
Yeah, but Johnny did throw a couple of good passes while he was in there. One really nice pass. I would like to say this is I hope that it was presented to Cam in a way, and he was there at the game, so maybe he knows, maybe he felt it. I didn't feel that way as a fan when I watched it. Yeah, I didn't feel like I was cheering for Johnny to go down. In fact, I was disappointed that it wasn't that Charles Johnson, when he got his big sack, that it wasn't Johnny, because we wrote a big story on CarolinaCatChronicles.com of Money Manziel meet Big Money, And old Charles Johnson even responded about it. So I was hoping that he would get a sack. I was like, man, that story's going to blow up.
Yeah, but he said he wasn't doing the. They interviewed him. I think it was it Jones? Which one is that? One of them from the Charlotte Observer said that he wasn't going to do the money time thing anyway. That he felt like it was lame.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just wanted him to be the one that laid the sack on him.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you're right. It's Jonathan Jones. But I didn't feel like the fan base was, but I wasn't there, so.
Yeah, even watching the game, when the hit happened, I was like, ooh, like I
thought Johnny was being stupid. I think that he put his body out there twice.
Exactly why people were scared to draft him.
Yeah.
His whole knock was he wasn't going to take care of his body. He was going to try to run, and he's too small to be doing all that in the NFL. He proved everybody right. And now
he put his shoulder down like he was going to try to lay a hit on, was it Colin Jones?
Yeah.
And he smacked that. He laid the. I don't think it was a hamstring. I think it was a concussion.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be when he laid down. I thought it was going to be a concussion. But they say it was his hamstring, and now his season is over. They're talking about Hoyer's season might be over, so we might have ended two quarterbacks' season.
I know. I was fighting with this kid on Twitter who was a Cleveland fan. I don't even know him. Like, I just saw it on a hashtag, you know what I'm saying? And he was talking junk about the Carolina Panthers and how garbage they were, and we were winning. And I said, like, hold up now. You only got 3 points. Like, you need to slow your roll. And then he started just trash talking. And then he started trash talking the city of Charlotte. And I said, look, man.
You live in Cleveland. Cleveland is a dump.
I know. And then when Johnny got hurt, and then Hoyer, when I think it was KK that put him down, I said, you got another quarterback you want us to injure? Shoot.
Yeah, they talking about Hoyer might be done with a sprained shoulder. Manziel is done, so they starting quarterback this last week might be Connor Shaw, which for people watching, he started at South Carolina.
Yeah, that might be an upgrade. He's a pretty decent pocket passer, man.
Yeah. Also, something to talk about. Charles Johnson, this latter part of the year, is now up to 7.5 sacks. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like he's finally earning his money?
I've been a big money fan forever, and I think that I did hesitate a little bit without Hardy, the decline in production. I said, man, maybe that means that Greg Hardy is better than we gave him credit for, and that might be the case. But Charles Johnson is good, and what we're seeing is I think that there was probably he had a hip flexor earlier in the season. I think a lot of pressure was put on him. There's no pressure coming from anywhere else on the line, and then he's running at 75, 80%. And that's just not going to be his game. But for the last 6 games, that's why he makes the big money. Is he has been getting after the quarterback. He has been, like you said, 7.5 sacks, and I think he's been more disruptive than the figures even state. So yes,
it's a lot of times I've been watching these past couple games where he beats the guy off the line of scrimmage, and either the quarterback just gets it off, or he moves and somebody else gets the sack. But yeah, I feel like he off the way he's been playing, he probably should have had at least 10 sacks. But
yeah, 'cause you got to write those first couple of games off, or even the first 6 weeks. He was not powering through guys.
Yeah, because for a while, our only pass rush was Mario Addison, who he
stinks. I don't think he's all that good.
I think he's good if you keep him in a role as a third down speed. I'm just going for the quarterback, third and long, nothing else kind of defensive end. But I wouldn't trust him as a every down kind of player. But
Could he
speaking of,
play? Would he fit better in a 3-4?
if you had him in the DeMarcus Ware out in Smith role where he ain't got to do nothing but pass rush, yeah. But expecting him to cover, I don't think you should do that.
Like he can't play that hybrid like a little bit better because since he is all speed and no he's weak on the run and some things like that, you would think maybe would work better in a different system.
Nah, if I did do that, I would have him in the role of, like I said, DeMarcus Ware, Alden Smith, Von Miller, because none of them can cover. If you watch them in coverage, they're always getting beat. But if you just say, hey, go get the quarterback, they can do that. But speaking of our defensive line, we reactivated Frank Alexander today. How do you feel about that? I know you're not his biggest fan.
Hide the drugs. Look at the sign. Frankie is back. I don't really care about Frank Alexander coming back. Does he make a difference? Probably not to me. Will he see any meaningful snaps? I don't think so, to be honest. The way that this coaching staff works, I don't feel like they're just going to start giving you touches all of a sudden because you're reactivated. Now maybe they are because they reactivated him, and they could have just let him. They could have just not brought him in. I think though the bigger story than Frank Alexander. And I'm going to go ahead and put a plug for the website on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I'm putting the finishing touches on it. Is I think the shining star right now is K'Wan Short.
He's been our best defensive lineman this year.
I really do. I feel like he came in, and I did some more research just on the numbers of what he's done this season, Money. And he comes in, and his first start was against Seattle, and he hasn't relinquished the starting spot back. It took him 8 weeks in the second year of his career to get the starting spot, but man, he has been a difference maker. I feel like he's been consistent, and right now, I think the star is shining on Short more so than on Latuile.
Yeah, Star still doesn't have a sack this year, which is crazy. I mean, he's not a sack kind of guy, but
no, he's a run stopper, I think, and K1 is more getting the backfield, but he's really been good. He might be the kind of guy that we really need, like a second-round pick that plays like a first-rounder.
Yeah, because KK has 3 sacks this year. I think he only had, one last year? 1.5 last year?
Yeah, but, he really did not find his way. Here's the thing is that Starr started 16 games last year.
Yeah.
And he got 3 sacks. I feel like their numbers have been flip-flopped in many ways. Is that now what you're seeing is really K1 is putting up the numbers that Starr put up last year. Right now he's had 3 sacks. He's had 6 quarterback hits, 17 quarterback hurries, and 34 tackles. And that is only starting since week 8.
And that's after last year. It was a lot of times he was like Charles Johnson is kind of doing this year. It was a lot of times last year he would get to the quarterback, he just wouldn't be able to finish it. Quarterback would either get rid of it or somebody else would come and get the sack, like Hardy maybe.
He had 2 sacks last year. 10 quarterback hits, 25 quarterback. He gets after the quarterback. He disrupts. But he's, I think he's making more of a difference. So I like him. He's the guy. I'm buying his jersey. That's my next jersey acquisition.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're talking about that. It's a couple bets that I'm about to hopefully win this week. One is I'm going to have a Jonathan Stewart jersey. I made a bet with an Atlanta guy at the beginning of the year because they were feeling like Steven Jackson was going to bounce back and he was going to do this and he was going to do that. So we made a bet that is Steven Jackson going to get 1,000 yards? It was the first half of the bet. The second half of the bet was if he doesn't get 1,000 yards and either D'Angelo or Jonathan Stewart outruns him, he had to buy me a jersey. So the first part was just either a shirt or a hat. And right now, Jonathan Stewart's at 760 yards, and Steven Jackson's like at 700. So it looks like I'm gonna win it because Steven Jackson's hurt coming into this game anyway. So it looks like I'm gonna have a Jonathan Stewart jersey from that. I still have a 49ers fan who owes me a hat from last year's regular season game, which is crazy. And then Panther Nasty, I don't know if you know about his crazy bet with that Falcon fan. These dudes bet $500 a game.
What? $500?
Yeah, dineros. They bet $500 a game on the Atlanta and Carolina Panther games. So I think they actually doubled it up for this game to where it's going to be 1,000.
Bullshit, man. That's crazy. Cali Blue is on Google Plus. He says, "Hey, Money, how can I get in on this with y'all?" He wrote that 3 minutes ago.
I can try to send him an invite. I'm not gonna promise anything, Cali Blue. Which Cali Blue he's one of the he's been here. He's one of the Panthers guys that's been here all year. But
So what you're talking about here is, all right, so what are you going to get out of this? You're going to get a Jonathan Stewart Panther Nasty. That's so much money. That's like when you go to the strip club and you spend like $200 and you're like, gosh, did I really just spend $200 at the strip club? Yep. You just $500 on the Atlanta Falcons Panthers game. I would hate to write a check ever to Atlanta Falcons fan.
Which he actually paid it. I know he paid it for the first game.
Oh, I know he paid it. That mug lives in the most expensive place on the universe. $500 is probably like a Whopper to him.
Yeah, so P. Nasty already said if we win this game, he's going to get me a hat or something. Which I'm like, hey, because anybody who knows me, and Panther Nasty's my boy. That's like my Panther Nation big brother. And then,
he's like the coolest dude ever, man.
Exactly. Like, that's my dude. Like, I talk to him even stuff that's not about football. But I'm also going to win $100 from a Dolphins fan. I don't know if you ever seen D1 Chosen that's in the TTC. He likes normally bashing the Panthers fans. And the Giants. I don't understand why both of those teams when you're a Dolphin fan. But anyway, he's going to pay $100 because he bet me before the season that we was going to finish 6-10 and no other record. No, it was 7. I think it might have been 7-9. Whatever the record it was no matter what. It was 6-10. We can finish with any record other than 6-10, and I'm gonna win $100. So I won that since we tied, because we can't finish.
People making some dumb bets.
His whole thing was he came out last year, and then this year, this offseason, he wanted to get his name up. So he just started talking trash about everybody. The 49ers, the Panthers, the Giants. He was just shooting at random teams in the offseason, trying to get his name up. And so he decided that he wanted to come at the Panthers, and I said, put up or shut up. And so, yeah, I'm going to end up winning $100 from that. So I'm probably going to use that to pay for, once we win the South, I'm going to use that to get my NFC South stuff, the division champion stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna end up winning $100. That's no matter what. A Jonathan Stewart jersey, and then if we win, whatever P. Nasty decides he wants to get me. So it's looking like I'm hoping
that's a big haul for all coming down for all the marbles on Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons. We got to go there, and I want to mention a TTC guy, and I don't watch the TTC so much just because it's not the TTC. It's just, man, after all the millions of things I do for the web, like another 85 videos I got to watch. But this guy, I was peeking at one while we were getting ready for the podcast, and this guy, Sports Live in the ATL. I want to talk about this fella for a second. Is what he mentions is this idea that Atlanta does not consider the Panthers a rival That they're just another team on the schedule was the word. Aha, man, Denver just missed a field goal.
Wow, yeah, I just seen it.
I called it. I hope they can hang with this. All right, so there's another guy on the Southbound and Down podcast by the name of Scott Krasik, who's an Atlanta fan, and he says the same crap.
Yeah,
and it's this little brother. It's like we're your big brother mentality. And I don't know what team they're watching, but they ain't done squat since like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So what's this idea? Like, I don't like this. I don't like the.
That's Mr. Money.
I don't like this idea that you're gonna come in and just be so condescending. It's one thing, I don't mind that you don't like us or something like that. It's the condescension that bothers me.
Yeah, Sports Live, he's annoying in general anyway. Like, I don't really care for his videos, but he's annoying as a person.
He shouted out to you, though.
Talking junk or, like, giving props?
Like, he was going through his mentions in the beginning, talking about all the Panther vid makers, so he mentioned you.
He resubscribed to me today after all
He's
that.
got 1,100 subscribers. I'm disliking his video right now.
He's been on TCC for like 4 years, so you should have that many subscribers. He's like one of the original Atlanta Falcons dudes in the TCC, so yeah, you should have that many, if not more. But anyway. I don't really care for him. I called him in one of my videos in the off season the 40-year-old virgin. So that lets you know how I kind of feel about Sports Live. We'll take a lot of stuff. I take a lot of stuff he says with a grain of salt. But yeah, the Atlanta Falcons do not feel like we're their division rivals. They feel like their only rivals are the Saints, and other than that, they don't care. They feel like us and the Bucks is just teams that they play, which, I mean, they can feel like that if they want to. We take that rivalry seriously. Our players do. Definitely Cam does. Same way they talk about their home field advantage. I said, you don't know. We got enough players from Georgia where that's like a homecoming for them. Between whether it's Cam, whether it's Thomas Davis, whether it's Charles Johnson. Daku played for the Falcons, so we don't really worry about that. It's like a homecoming for us.
Where did he go? He sucks so bad. I don't even see him dress anymore. I mean, like, he's a non-factor on the team.
Yeah, I don't even remember seeing him on the sidelines like that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like, you wouldn't even know he's on the team. But you're absolutely right. And here's why I think you mentioned it, is that maybe this is just us looking from the Panthers' perspective on this. But we do find a lot of excitement in NFC South football from our side. So when I say a rival, I don't mean like Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. It's like I hate it. Everybody in our division is a rival.
Yeah,
no more, no less, except for maybe Tampa.
I hate all of them the same.
Yeah. I mean, I hate Atlanta a little bit more personally just because of Mike Vick. And Mike Vick just slaughtered my college team. And then I had to go watch him do it again when he was in Atlanta. So, like, I have a real disdain for the Atlanta Falcons because I'm sick of them. But I don't like that. I feel like, man, why are you diminishing the NFC South? Because I thought it was a cool division. We're real close together. And you're right. Thomas Davis hates the Atlanta Falcons, dude.
Yeah.
He played in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? He's from Athens. Or he lived in that. I mean, that's where he went to college.
Yeah. But I think they dislike us maybe, but they hate the Saints. It's just how their viewpoint is. I mean, because them and the Saints have, 40 years, 60 years of playing against each other?
Right.
When the Vikings was... I mean, the Bucks was in a division with the Vikings, so I guess they didn't really care about them for a lot of years.
And
And
we
then
were in a division with San Francisco.
yeah, we were in the NFC West. But do you know the Falcons is the only team to not represent the NFC South in the Super Bowl? I just seen that on Twitter is why I brought it up.
Oh, really?
Because remember when they went in '98, they were in the NFC West.
I wonder. That's a squeaky door, brother.
Exactly. Somebody decided they wanted to be funny in my household.
My question is what's the all-time record? Do you know about what the matchup is?
They
who owns it?
they have us overall. I think they're like we might be 23-14, something like that, 21-14. Whatever it is, a majority of the difference is, of course, the Vic years when we didn't beat them until we drafted Thomas Davis.
They were 13-7 in the 2000s. They're 6-3 since 2010. So it's 5-5 plus 18 and 22. They've won 13-6. What's 13-6? 19. What's 19-5? 24. They've won 24 of the matches, and we've won 5, 7, 12, 12, 24, and 15. So they're up a significant amount. But you're right, is that they owned us from the 2000s, which, those were some down years. We were kind of up and down there. And the other thing is Cam. Yeah, and Cam hadn't beat Atlanta for a little while. Like it took him until last year, right?
Yeah, they're like they're 4-3 against each other.
Still, I'm ready to. I mean, I think that last year we turned the tide on that game. We swept them last year. We really played them. We should have won the game this past year, or in this season against Atlanta Falcons. So for me, I'm not intimidated as much by them as they think that we should be. As well as long as we can contain Julio, I really feel like we could be okay. And another thing I think we have to mention is our special teams stink.
Yes.
So that's another place in this game that is something that was not there last year. How many field goals did we miss how many field goals has Gano missed this season? And I remember on Twitter you saying you were about tired with him.
Yeah, he's like 29 of 33, 29 of 32, something like that. He's been missing a lot in the past couple weeks.
So, and he's supposed to be, he was supposed to be money. And a lot of them aren't tremendously hard field goals. Is that I think a 42-yarder or a 44-yarder in the NFL should not be ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's been missing some definitely makeable.
Yeah, and so we gotta have this. We've gotta have Nortman pinning people down. We've got to have. We also got to have Gano making these field goals. But really, I think where we lack on special teams is the ability to hold guys when we punt the ball. People are returning the ball against us well. And then the other is that our returns go nowhere. And I think I saw the first positive return from Brenton Burson this week against the Cleveland Browns, and he almost got, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, you know how much I hate Burson.
So I agree. Is that I think that this is an aspect of our game that we really have to, that's what I will be watching on Sunday. because I think that Norman can play Julio well enough. I think that our defensive line is playing better. And here, take this. You guys got no pass rush, folks, and our offensive line is starting to play well. So it's not like Cam Newton is going to be just under constant duress. So you better watch out. Who's going to stop Kelvin Benjamin for you guys? Are you going to say that Trufant can stop him because he's a good corner? He is a good corner, but Benjamin is huge. And now you got Philly Brown coming on. I feel like, watch out, Greg Olsen, difference maker in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree because Kelvin had over 100 yards on them last game.
Here, this is what Graham Gano has done. In the last, he was 1 for 3 against Atlanta. The last time we played him. 1 for 3. Then he went 2 games where he was 100%. He missed one against Tampa. 4. Did we really kick 4 field goals in that game?
Yeah.
He missed 5. I mean, he missed the 5th. Or he missed 1, and he was 1 for 2. So you're talking about really that's some pretty cruddy numbers right there. Where you're 1 of 3, you're 4 of 5, and you're 1 of 2.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him, which I don't think we're at the point where we need to sign somebody else. But as you saw on Twitter, he was frustrating me.
And let's be fair, though, on this. That Atlanta game, we can't really – he was really 1 for 2 because the third one was like a 65-yarder that was stupid in the first place.
Yeah, that was just we had to try to see if we could make it. But that was – we were put in that situation because he didn't make the one.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to need to see that cleaned up. And that's going to be an element of the game. It's not the field goal aspect. It's the entire special teams that's going to have to be cleaned up money for us to do well against Atlanta. But I got to tell you, Coney Ely coming on, K1 Short coming on, Charles Johnson playing at his best. Our secondary, now you got Bene, you got Sticky Wicky playing well, and Sticky Wicky played great in that game. Then you've got Josh Norman playing lights out. You've got Trey Boston. I feel like our team is really substantially better than it was the first time we played them. So that's kind of my take on the Atlanta game is that, we played them close last time, Money, and now we're playing we're better as a team. I think we got better talent on the fields, and our offensive line is 100 times better than it was the last time we played them. In fact, that was the last game where it was after that game that we started trotting out Norwell, Remmers, and Trey Turner and Bell as the offensive line, and they have played well since.
Yeah, our offensive line definitely has been looking better. And I think that can be the key to us winning. And what's sad is we only gave up 1 sack last game, and that sack was to Byron Bell. Not even one of the new guys.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the truth is that, and Byron Bell, I think we've asked him to do too much. That's my personal opinion on Byron Bell, is I feel like we've been a little too hard on him. Not too hard on him, but we've put him in a tough spot.
Yeah. I definitely feel like we put him in a tough spot, but sorry to say this, anybody who's watching Cat Chronicles, Tony, we got to kind of wrap this up. I got stuff I got to do. I'm sorry about that.
All right. Well, man, be sure to check us out for the C3 podcast Tuesday nights. Special time this week, 8:30. We've moved it up to 8:30. Because of the holiday, we're going to be doing C3 podcast and then back-to-back with Southbound and Down right afterwards. CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Check us out.
And I will be on Southbound and Down. Me and Joe asked me to be on there. I don't know if he told you. I don't know if y'all communicate like that.
We tried to.
But, yeah, you can catch me on that tomorrow night. Of course, MrTMoney1993 on YouTube, on Twitter, all that. Like I said, this your boy Straight Facts, because that's all I speak on YouTube, aka MrTMoney1993, and I'm out.
All right, peace.
Peace.